Hello. So I am so excited to dive in today with Natasha around this really, really juicy topic. And what we're going to be looking into and covering is one, how Natasha created quantum leaps in revenue in her business, because I know that everyone is really fascinated and curious to hear about that. But we're also going to dive into how to tap into that zone of magic, the frequency of pure fire and giddiness and excitement about your business so that you feel fired up, so that you feel in flow. And having known Natasha for a while now, like that's all I ever see in her world. And I guess I'm really keen to dive into that. So let's start in this initial part, Natasha. I'd love for you to share. I'd love for you to share what created, in your perspective, in your opinion, your very first quantum leap in terms of your revenue?
Oh, such a good question. Okay. Being a subconscious coach, I am going to 1 million% answer this with about the subconscious. Okay. Now, I've been a mindset coach for 6.5 years. So I built my business to great, great lengths. And I'd got it. I remember it was my 60K month where I was like, holy cow, like, oh my goodness, I've made it. This is it. This is incredible. And this was kind of, I'd tapped into the subconscious, but not like deep work. It was more just kind of mindset work. So I'd managed to get my business to that level. But I remember this moment of, oh my God, this is amazing. And I looked over my whiteboard and I was like seeing all the incredible souls that I was going to be able to serve in this group program. And then instantly I was filled with shit. If I can't do this again next month, I'm going to feel like a failure. Like I'm just a fraud. This must just be like literally winging it. And lo and behold, the next month I did not hit 60K. And I think it really landed with me the importance of this subconscious work because you can have a mindset of, I know how to make money. Lots of my clients come to me and go, I know how to make money. The strategy, does its thing, but I don't feel safe holding it or I don't feel like I'm having fun in my business. Everything kind of feels like pressure. And it came to 2022 where my life literally hit the floor. I got told that my sister had 5 years to live. Now, my family are my absolute world. My mother-in-law died. I then got told by the doctors that my back was incurable. There was nothing they could do. And I was, I've always been this person that holds on to hope. So I was like, no, it is gonna. And then to be told by the doctors, no, like get over it. You're just gonna have to either go back on morphine or you just have to deal with the pain. And with lots of other things that I can't really share because they're not my story, but it had a massive knock-on effect to me, my confidence. I just felt I'd lost myself. And at this point, I hadn't just had Santiago. So I couldn't feel like it was an identity thing because I was like, well, I've had Santiago. At this point, he would have been just coming up, well, 1.5. But it was. I really felt like a boss being a businesswoman and being a present mum. And then in 2022, when all I felt like everything around the sticks around me were dropping down, it knocked my confidence. And I'm like, how do I show up as a badass when I'm not making the money that I used to make, or I'm not selling out the launches I used to do? And it massively shook me. And I remember working with my coach at the time, and she said, have you heard of RRT, like subconscious reprogramming? I'm like, no. Is that Marissa Peer? And she went, no, 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 it's not. And I was like, okay. So I looked into it, had a session, and I was like, wow. So for years, so much of my self-worth around who I was around my success. I'm successful because I'm a model. I'm successful because the car I drive. I'm successful because I make X amount of money. And it was a huge awakening to be like, you need to learn your self-worth and your self-trust and belief from here. Oh, it's giving me shivers. Not from the amount of money that's in your bank account, not from the car you drive, not the house you have. That all means shit. I mean, I hope I'm allowed to swear because I've like literally
You
just dropped a
absolutely
few.
are, and I almost feel like crying based on what you're sharing. So keep going.
I mean, it was a hard time. It really shook me. And then I was being triggered all around me because everyone, it felt like in social media, was bossing motherhood and bossing business and having like 20K seconds, right? 30K, minutes. And I just felt so triggered. And from doing this one RT session, he was able to clear years of entanglement of my self-worth into how much money I made instantly. And I was like, wow, oh my goodness, that was it. I studied it. I immersed myself into it. I started doing it with my one-on-one clients. They started getting the most incredible results. I then was like, oh my God, I need to do a group program. So from a time in my life where, honestly, if I'm being totally honest with you, I was willing to give up. I was like, maybe this, I'm just not meant to do it. Maybe I've hit incredible heights in my business. Maybe I'm not meant to continue. Maybe I'm meant to find something else. And I remember being on my bathroom floor sobbing. Oh God, it still makes me emotional now. thinking, I know I was meant to do this, then why is it so hard? Why is it feeling like everything around me is going against me when I'm doing the exact same strategy or I'm doing the exact same thing and I'm believing in myself and it, but I hadn't done that subconscious reprogramming. So my mind, of course, was going back to the times when I hadn't hit the money. I'm going to launch, but it's going to happen exactly the same again. Or I'm not going to be able to get my confidence back the way it was. Or you've just got to understand that running a business is different. You can't have the success and and be a present, happy mum. And I'm like, that was really hard to take. So I was like, well, no. And I didn't have really, truly any great examples around me of people that were doing it. We see a lot on social media, but how much of that can we actually say is true? I wanted like really examples around me that were doing it. And then once, of course, with your Raz, once we look for it, we see it. I had my biz besties that were bossing it. One of my biz besties has got 4 kids and like a multi seven figures. Like I had it there as an example, but my mind just wanted to go to, no, but that's not you. That's not you. That, this is your reality. So in a very roundabout way, it was the hardest year of my life, but also the making of me because now I have huge results in my business, but it's just the byproduct of the work that I've done on myself. It doesn't make me feel like a badass. If I do happy dances because I think I'm so excited for this result this client's going to get, not because I can't wait till that Stripe account hits my account because it makes me feel like a badass. I'm not looking for that dopamine hit anymore.
Oh my God, that's so sad. Like you don't know, like 3 times, and I don't tend to cry. Like I'm not, but like honestly, like I wanted to cry like 3 times during what you were saying because I really hear you on the part of like it's not even now like the Stripe payment and the payment notification, the PayPal this, it's like it's more like now you want to set other women free. And it's like you really believe you have the tools, and obviously there's a gazillion tools, but you have one of the tools,
Mm.
multiple tools that will help these women be set free. And so now that's where the juice is and like the excitement. So I obviously have a gazillion questions to follow up on what you were sharing. I'm really curious to hear, like, how do you think then that you got that initial big month? Like before you had done the like more like deeper subconscious work. How do you think your subconscious mind even allowed you to get that? So I'm really curious to hear about that.
Well, firstly, I was working with a really badass coach. So I think having that accountability and having someone you can bounce your ideas off, but also have someone to go, oh, I'm feeling this today. I'm feeling a bit of fear. I'm feeling a bit of this. And unbeknown to me, we were doing subconscious work. We were doing it in our coaching. Exactly. So then the more we kind of were doing it, the more it was like she was reprogramming for this type of success. So my goal to sell out my launch was 40,000. Like that's what my goal was. And I think the most at that point that I'd probably made in my business was around the 20-ish marks. So it was an audacious goal. It was like I wanted to double it, right? And I remember I hadn't done the maths. I hadn't kind of worked it all out. I was just so engrossed into having the best time in this. I think it was like a week-long launch that I was doing. Like, yeah, I was like looking up at the girls, but I wasn't doing like the maths. I wasn't in Stripe every day and I wasn't obsessing about how many clients I needed to make 40K, like none of that. And I remember looking up and obviously my coach had asked me and she was like, so what are we at? And I'm like, whoa, oh my goodness, it's 61,000. It's 41,000 cash and the rest is in payment plans. And it just, and I think that's the magic. And I remember used to hear coaches and other entrepreneurs say this, like, don't get into the numbers and like, you just got to let go. And you're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But that is the truth. As soon as we get so consumed and up in our brain of it has to work out like this and I've got to hit 40K because if I don't, I'm going to feel like a failure. I just let all of that go from this, from the reprogramming and focusing on a strategy, which is really important that I enjoyed. I wasn't doing it because my coach told me to do it. There was loads of things she said, I think you could do this. This would work really well. And I was like, doesn't feel aligned to me. I've always been that rebel of a coachee that it's so important to me that I do something, not like cold DMs. I will never do that. Like that it just doesn't. Whereas I know it works very well for some people. That to me just feels like an ick. Like some people do it fantastically. That's just not me. I've got to be authentic. I want people to come into my world. Then I'll send a voice note or then I'll send like a little kind of welcome message. So I think it's really important that you're doing something in your business that does light you up, that you believe. Like with every part of my body knows that when a client comes to me, I will nail their messaging, I will help them with their product suite, and we will reprogram their subconscious mind. Like I know that with every bone of my body. And I think that's from doing the work on myself. We're a product of our own work, aren't we? The reason why you can back exactly what it is that you do, because you're like, it works. I've done it on my own self. I've transformed my own life. And I think when you then start to normalize what this like instead of looking it up in a pedestal, like I want to get to 60K, I want to have 40K months, 20K months, whatever it is, instead of looking up in a pedestal, for me, what I'd always say to people is like, be it now. And I don't mean go and buy the Hermes bag, right? And so you feel rich. I don't mean that. What I mean is, how can you show up today in the energy if it's already done? Not in the energy of needing something. Oh, I need it. Because then you're in lack. And then you're not an energetic match anyway. Like, who wants to work with a coach that's in lack? You don't. You need to come from that energy where you're like, it's a bit like dating. You know, when you go on that date with somebody and they were just a bit cool and calm and they're sitting back and they just feel very intriguing. They're asking the right questions and they're like, yeah, you're drinking, you're just vibing, right? Rather than when you're dating someone going, okay, right, so when are we getting married? How interested are you? Like, do I look okay? You sure I look okay? Do you think this restaurant's okay that I booked? Like, you're like, that is not a vibe. So it's exactly like that when it comes to it. You've got to know and believe in your own gift and know that your audience need that. They know it. So show up in that energy of like, I've got something that you need. And instead of like in that proving energy, I've got to prove to you that I do hit this money, or I've got to prove to you I'm really good at subconscious reprogramming. Don't come from a proving, come from a knowing. Like, I know this is good and showcase that. And then that's where I believe you will be that energetic match to those ideal clients.
Oh my gosh. So I love it's so funny that you brought up the dating analogy because that's what I was sharing in one of my programs yesterday around like when you're single and you believe that when you finally meet the one, then you will be whole. And so they will fix you or they will complete you or they suddenly you will be whole, as opposed to being like, I'm single and they'll just add and they'll just enhance. They'll just be like an addition to your current wholeness. And
Mm.
in business, I see it very similarly, exactly what you were just describing. It's like, not that your 60K, 100K, 20K month will make you whole or fix you or make you suddenly like the badass, but it will just add, it will just enhance to your already wholeness. But like you were saying, most of us don't feel already whole now. And
Mm.
so it's more of that gripping energy. This needs to happen. And I lived this for 3 years, like back year 2, 3, and 4 of my business. I hit 10K months literally religiously for 3 years. When I look back, I'm actually like really impressed because like
Yeah.
the love what I mean is like I'm really impressed that I like actually in that gripping energy that I still managed to keep making 10K months. So I think that's what people are like, yeah, but I have made money. It's like, yeah, but you're doing it in a way that is horrible. Like I don't know about like I'm thinking about, people listening and I'm like,
Mm.
for me, it felt horrible to constantly be like, oh my God, like, okay, now it's May 1st or it's April 1st or it's this and it's like now I have to do it again or like I have to like and it was like this is horrible, this feeling of
Mm.
pressure, of tension, like I need to get this. It will fix me. It will mean that I'm enough. And it's because like you were saying, you're in a space of lack, of scarcity, of like not enoughness and you just feel like that will finally mean I have enough safety, I have enough money, I have enough cash, I have enough clients. But the thing is it's never enough because I remember then the following month, it's like, but what if all these clients leave? What if people decide to go to this person? What if this, and this? And it's like, it never goes away. And the reason it never goes away is because it's internal. It's like,
Yeah.
you don't feel enough. You don't feel like, and so I'm really curious because I'm thinking about one of my clients and I'd love to hear your take on this. So I have a client and she is really good like at what she does. Like in her zone of genius, she is so powerful and she loves it and she's obsessed with it. At the same time, she still feels like she hasn't gotten enough raving testimonials, enough raving reviews, even though she has probably like 50 or something. But she's like, that's like, maybe it's kind of a fluke or and then even the clients that she is currently working with, she's like, yeah, they're getting results, but they're not getting like insane results, right? And so there's this like notion of like, and I believe that the reason they're not getting insane results is because there is this like lack within her and not enoughness. And so she can't fully show up present with these clients truly because deep down it's like, I'm still not enough. So in a weird way, I need to like, it almost needs to be manifested that they're not enoughness. But
Mhm.
also, how can you be truly present with a client if deep down there's that feeling of like, maybe I'm not really that good at what I do, or maybe this is, a fluke or whatever, or I'm an imposter and a fraud. So what would you say around that piece, like with that client? And she's already made like, she's been in business for like 10 years and she's always made about 3, 4, 5,000 a month. So it's not, like
Mhm.
she's obviously created clients, she's obviously made money, she's obviously done something right. So tell me what comes up for you around this.
Well, I would say compared to who? who is she comparing herself to that it's not enough? And I think I always say this to my clients, if you cannot celebrate the £1,000 month, if you can't celebrate that person buying your £27 offer, how the hell do you think you're going to be able to be in the energy of celebrating 27K, 57K, 100K? You're not. So it comes down to the small things. It isn't about the amount of money that's hitting your account. It's about how it makes you feel. And it sounds like to me, her nervous system is in survival mode. Like she's just constantly on this thing of like not being enough. And then her Raz is looking for all the evidence. See, you're going, you got 50 testimonials. Yeah, but they're not banging testimonials. They're not like, oh my God, you changed my life in 5 seconds. You're like, are you joking? You're not seeing the same testimonials I'm seeing. They're saying how incredible it is and the work you've done has changed their life or whatever it is that it says. She's not seeing that. So it's like if I say to you, don't think of a yellow car. Instantly, you're looking at a yellow car. All she's looking for, her subconscious, is the evidence of why she isn't enough. See? So whereas you're going, as of a coach, going, you're hitting consistent high cash months. Like you're at 3K every single month. That's incredible. The only way we're going to be able to scale that is really from reprogramming your nervous system and your subconscious beliefs. What is her beliefs around? Because it sounds like to me that's her energetic, like that's her thermostat is where she gets to. And she's looking at other people, I'm presuming, and looking at going, oh, well, they're doing that a day or they're doing it a week or they get better testimonials. And I'm like, okay, slay in your own lane. Let's say so focused on you. If we need to look at working your craft, we can do that. But what we need to stay focused on is how you're feeling about things. How can we work on you and your belief system backing that you are the absolute baddest baddie? Like you have got to believe that 1,000,000%. Because then when you do, you're going to attract more of that. You're going to attract those types of clients that are ready to go. You then give them your great service and then they go and get incredible results. So looking at what is she measuring it to and what is enough for her? How does enough feel for her? Forget the number. How does it feel for her? And then we can work on attracting more of that. Because I honestly believe I do an absolute happy dance when someone buys like a £47 audio kit that I've got, or £100. It isn't about just the 10K cash days that you have. It's not about that. It's about there's one person that is coming to pay you X amount, whatever it is, to learn from your gifts. Your gifts that started as a thought, someone is now paying you £100 for. Like, just get your head around that for a moment. Someone has gone through your process, your method, your program, and has written out just how incredible that was. But I think we're in a society now where we're looking at other people that, when I first started business, 10K months was the thing. Like you wanted to get to 100K a year. Listen, girls are doing that a month now. Like it's like, what, you're not 100K a month? And you're like, no, I'm not. That just becomes the new norm. Now, if you don't work on your belief system, that will trigger you. That will make you feel, well, I'm not enough. Why have I been going X amount of time in business and I'm only making X amount of money? Why is she doing this and she's literally only just started? And we can get into this race of like comparing ourselves. And, it's that the old saying of comparison's the thief of joy. And we're all a bit like, yeah, but it freaking is. So I think about what actually, and everyone's business is different, their life's different. For me, I feel like I've hit the pinnacle of my business, and not because I've got tons of space of where I want to go, but I work 3 days a week. I run two businesses and I spend the rest of the time having fun with my 4-year-old. I mean, pin me, I'm done. Do you know what I mean? And I just think it's took me a while to kind of get there and navigate it. And that's why I'm so passionate about teaching other people, because I see so many women where I was many times comparing themselves, not feeling enough, not feeling like they can do this, full of self-doubt, not having the self-trust and belief in themselves. And I'm like, I just need to get you into my energy so we can kind of do this. So
Mhm. I love that. And I think it's so funny because that last piece is like, the 47 pounds or the 99 pounds that someone spends on. I know that you're also thinking like, based on what you also said, is like, oh my God, this person finally will be set free
yeah.
because you believe that that audio is going to, yes, it's not maybe the whole entire picture because as you and I both know, like there's so many layers to this.
Mm,
At the same time, that this is a piece to a really powerful puzzle, and that will be huge for them, and it will just be like the potentially the catalyst or whatever. So it's like I'm guessing and it's exactly what you said prior is like it's more about now the women that whose lives are going to change rather than it is about you. um
mm,
and I think when you're a mentor of mine yesterday was saying like without realizing it, so many of us as business owners were like, what can I get, what can I get, how can I take, like what can I get? And it's like when you flip it, and I actually want to move into something with around magic, but when we flip it, it's like not around what can we get, but more around like I don't want to get anything. I want to give. There's
Yeah.
so much shit like I want to give now. Like there's so much value and power, and now I'm ready to give. And I think the way I see it is like if somebody right now listening is like I'm actually more thinking about what can I get? Like, how can I get clients? How can I get more sales? How can I get more cash? How can I get more savings? How can I get more money? It's like then you're not in the frequency or in the zone that one feels effing amazing, but two, where you really naturally will call in and be so abundant and attract so much,
Mm.
like whether it's clients or money and all the things. So I'm really curious because I'm like in a kind of obsession around magic, and the way like I see magic is like around where you suddenly feel like you're in flow, where suddenly time disappears and you just feel like you're buzzing, your whole body feels electric and you feel charged. And I find I don't necessarily feel this every day, but when it comes, it's like, oh my God, this is a different wavelength. This is a different dimension. This feels like a different portal, like I've hit a new realm. And I guess for you, I'm curious, like, one, what does that look like for you, or how would you describe magic in your business world, in your world? And then two is like, how do you continue to tap back into magic? Like, where suddenly it goes away and you're a bit like, I feel like I'm kind of just going through the motions right now, or I feel like things are a little bit boring right now, I feel a bit flat, or I'm not really that excited anymore. Like, what's going on? And so, like, how do you tap back into that magic? So, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Okay. So the first thing is I wake up every morning at 5 a.m. And not that this is the magic rule to success, because I don't believe in that, but it sets me on fire. I wake up, I go down, I have my decaf coffee, and I'm very much into the small things. So I'm very much like I live in the countryside, so like watching outside where I see like the green fields and like the nature and like hearing the sounds. That to me, just I just need a moment just to be present and to ground myself in, because as a generator, as an Aries, I'm very much a doer. I'm someone that if I'm going to say I'm going to do something, I'll do it no matter what. I'll make it happen. So for me, I desire to tap into my feminine energy and just be still and just be quiet. And then I'll kind of go into my morning routine. I'll do my subconscious reprogramming, my affirmations, meditation. Because for me, it's really important that I'm tapping into what actually feels good for me. And I cannot and will not commit to something, even if it makes financial sense, even if it makes sense for the business, for growth, whatever it might be, if I do not feel it. And for me to tap into the energy, I've always been somebody that I love to like celebrate the small things. For me, it's like I'm probably probably drive my family and like friends mad when I'm like, what are you grateful for? Like I love deep conversations and connections. I don't know how I'm gonna deal with like the school mum run thing. Like I don't know. I can't do like the shit chat. I want to have like, how are you feeling today? Like I'm very much one of these people. So I think in the morning it's really important that I like tap into that for me. Then I put music on. Like I think coming from like the girl band and the music days and being massively the music industry a part of like probably who I am, performance side of me. Music just is just a vibe. It just sets my soul on fire. So playing that loud, like through my ears, I'm just vibing. It changes my mood. So even if I'm in a little bit of a slump of the day, of like, let's say sometimes you've got things to do, you've got to like speak to your accountant, which isn't something that sets my soul on fire. I'm like, how can I manage my energy? Because I know I'm going to spend an hour on the phone, bless her, but like it's not a vibe, right? It's not woo-woo stuff. It's not the spiritual stuff that I want to be kind of talking about. It's like the numbers and the data and all of this. So what can I do to like prep myself for that? So I can go into that call and it doesn't drain my energy. It doesn't get me into or take me out of my magic. I'm always thinking about how can I play today? And I think that at times when I feel like, especially running two businesses, I have a property business and that's all about data. There is no emotion or intuition or like guidance with that. It's like, does the numbers stack? That's how you make the decision. And I struggled with that because I'm all about it's got to be playful and it's got to be energy and it's got to feel good. And it's like, well, does the deal stack or not? And I'm like, oh, this feels really conflicting with me. So I think for me, when I know, especially in the times when you've got to have those challenging conversations with builders or investors or those types of things. I'm like, how can I make sure I manage my energy, my frequency? And if I've got to go into that call, what can I do then to balance that out? So I'm always make sure that today's like a CEO day. So today is just doing things that light me up. So obviously doing an incredible live review, energy, energy, energy. I'm going on holiday next week, so I've got to go and get wax. And then I'm going to spend the rest of the afternoon on the business in the creative flow. What do I want this quarter to feel like? This isn't about How many clients do I want to sign? How much money do I want to make? It's more about what is going to allow me to play more of a business. Like, what's something that I really want to do? And then how can I expand on that even more? So, for me, I think as you grow your business, when you're first, like, if you're listening to this and you're first starting off, you're probably quite conditioned to think it's all about the data. If you want to get to 10K months or make sign your first client, this is what you've got to do. But it's really important that you do a lot of in your business that you actually can play with. And if it's something that you're like, well, I don't actually enjoy social media, how can we make it so you do? Because I'll always say to my clients, this is a free platform that you get to explore and get clients from. Like, how incredible is that? This doesn't have to be I've got to do social media. You get to do social media. And I think just changing your energy around your language, around what you have to do. I've got to get this to-do list done. No, you get to do it. You chose to start this business. You chose to scale it. You chose to grow it. So get into that energy and say to yourself, right, okay, this is my list of things that I desire to get done. And like even things like this is my I get to do list today. So it's not like to-do list, got to get it done. It's more like I get to do this. That feels like a very different energy flow for me. And I think the power of your words are so important. Like I don't tend to surround myself with, or if I am around a circle that use, let's say the word expensive, okay? I don't like it. It just makes me go like that. So I'll just go premium. And now it's really funny. I've started to notice all my family and start to go, oh, that hotel's quite premium. I'm like, it is, isn't it? Because how expansive does premium feel? It's like I can choose to have that if I want to. Whereas expensive means, oh, I can't, it's expensive. So I think just playing with the different things that are all going to make you feel expansive in your language, in your frequency, in the thoughts that you have, and the things that you get to do will change the game for you.
Oh my God, Natasha. I mean, I don't know if anyone else is listening to this thinking like I had a couple of my own breakthroughs listening to you. Like one, the social media piece, like I would say that I play the game like very much like I just want to do whatever the fuck I want to do and like everything else is irrelevant. But you know, as soon as you said that, I was like, oh my God, I really am still playing by the rules of like how other people have structured it in my own brain. And that's how language works. You know, I'm thinking about my two kids, like I've got a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, and it's like you know, my 4-year-old will like be like, why does that happen? Or like, how does that work? Or whatever. And it's so funny because now I get to like implant beliefs that he has no idea I'm doing. So he, you know, I was like, yeah, like for example, what we could do because we were eating like tempeh, which is like tofu but fermented tofu. Anyway, and I was like, you know what we could do with this tempeh because he loves eating that at lunch. We like air fry it and then he has it with some soy sauce. And I was like, you know what we could do? We could literally make this. Like we could air fry tempeh and then find a like some sort of production system and then we could sell this and it could be like different flavors and then people would buy it and then you would receive money, Ethan, and then you could use that money to buy your superhero action figures.
I
And he
love
was
it.
like, that's so cool. So like, and he was like so curious about it. And it was like I was giving him like this is how you can make money. Now I didn't grow up with that. Like and this is how you can receive money and the exchange of services and like how you can like tweak things and refine them and make them better and then sell them. Anyway, and I was just thinking, I'm literally like implanting like beliefs into you. And it's so funny because you talked about the social media thing. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't even really realize that that's what's been happening for 10 years of my own business is like I've had so many people tell me like what needs to happen on Instagram and like how the strategies and I've actually until you said that, I didn't realize that I never really thought like how do I actually feel like I could do this? Like
Mm.
if I had no advice and no suggestions, like how would I play this game? And it's funny because I've been doing loads of like live stream on my Instagram and I had the feel because I have so much like because I've been doing this for a long time and I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in my business and in myself. So like I have so many people's head like voices in my head of like, you know, like you don't do, you know, you want to do carousels as well. You want to do a mix and match. You want to do this. Like I've had, you know, whatever. And I was like, but I'm fucking in love with these live streams. Really, let's go. And but it is interesting. Like as soon as you said that, I was like, that's so interesting, and it really got me thinking about like where else. Even for me, I feel like I've been doing personal development for 10 years. like, and I'm obsessed with this stuff. And I was like, where else am I doing that? Where I've like pigeonholed myself and I've like put myself in shackles and I'm like, okay, this is just, and it's like, but no, like
Yeah.
that's just because it's worked really beautifully for those people. It doesn't mean that like I have to do it that way. And then you also said something else, which was like so freaking powerful. What was you said something at the end. I don't know if you even remember because we're just like going on.
Just in flow. I'm like,
I don't know. But you were like saying, I think you were saying something else about yeah, like doing it the way, oh, you were talking about like music and you were talking about like making things playful and seeing how you want the energy to go and all of this stuff. And it's like it's so funny because I think what you're also describing is like more following your heart versus
mm,
following your head.
yeah.
And I think I would love to hear your take on because my experience of business, and I don't know if this would be the case if I ran like a brick and mortar, although I actually do think it would be very similar. But yeah, I do think so because I used to run like a dating events company, which was very different, and just did it for a year, but like it was same. Like so
Yeah.
anyway, I have found that whenever I follow my soul nudges, like I get a whisper. And usually a whisper is not for me like a voice. It's more of like a pull, like a tug, like a, like almost like a feeling of like, I want to do this. And it doesn't make any sense often. It's like very illogical. It's not practical. It's not reasonable. It's not realistic. So a lot of times it's been like, you should create your own hardcover vegan leather journal. And I'm like, well, why? I didn't, it didn't, there was no reason. There was no rhyme. Nobody had asked me for that. I just was like, I really want to do it. I really want to do it. I want to create some stationery. Or another one was like, I want to go. I was living in London. It was like year two of my business. And I was like, I want to go do like an in-person event in like LA and New York. And in the back of my mind, I was like, but you could, my husband at the time, our boyfriend at the time, now husband, said like, why don't you just do it in London? It would be a lot cheaper. You wouldn't have to spend the money on flights. You wouldn't have to spend the money on your hotel. You wouldn't have to spend on the money on all the food that you're gonna have to like do. Plus, you wouldn't have to like figure out stuff in LA and New York. Like you don't even live there. Like you like what do you think? What the hell are you thinking? Like that's not business like minded. That's not like think about your profits here. Like you're gonna make
Mm.
a bigger profit if you stay in London. So that's like very head based, logical. And I remember my boyfriend saying that, and I was like, I don't care. Like, I want to go do it in New York. I want to go do it in LA. I don't know why. I just do. And I did. And it was fucking amazing. And I made a profit. But like, what's interesting is like, I'd love to hear your take. Like, you get those soul nudges. And for me, it's like every time you keep following those breadcrumbs, your business expands, your revenue grows. Not so, but not always straight away, which is, I
No.
think, why sometimes people are so scared of following the soul nudges, of following their hearts. Like, they want to create a new product line. They want to create this. They want to make this happen. They want to invest in this. But it's like, it doesn't make logical sense. They don't necessarily see a revenue right away. They don't see a return right away. What is your take on like following soul nudges?
I think it's so important. And you just gave a great example there of like, it didn't make sense. Why would you do it in America when you could do it here? Like, it doesn't make sense to do that. But you were like, no, I feel it. And look, you did it, done amazingly, and made a profit. And I remember it was in lockdown where I think I just found out I'd just done like a live massive event in London. A week later, I found out I was pregnant. And I think it was then 2 weeks later, lockdown happened. And like I could sense at the time I had a mindset, just like solely focused mindset, the tribe membership. And, it was bringing in a great amount of revenue every month. And I really just had this pull to go half the price, just half it, right? And obviously, my accountant was like, absolutely not. My coach at the time was like, this makes no sense at all. Like, why would you half it? Like, everyone's loving it. They're paying you the money every month. And I'm like, I just have this pull. Otherwise, why the hell did I do this business? Right. And of course, we can't give if we don't have, right? I've been able to build the business to a level where I was able to do that. And then I obviously you suffer, you do, as in like your revenue got split in half, but it felt fucking amazing. And it didn't make anyone sense to anybody else, but it didn't matter. And I know in just doing those things, selfishly it made me feel good. I was like, do you know what? And this is what I'm here. I like this beautiful journey of business is really just developing and finding out who the hell you are as individuals. And that just felt so good. And I think it's always, even our second business, it made no logical sense. Right. I'm busy enough with one business. I'm in love with it. It wasn't like I was at a point where I was like, I don't love this business anymore. I need to do something else. It wasn't that. I was just like, I'm in love with this. But for me, I just had this pull towards property and just, I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I like anything, like all of us, motherhood, business, everything, relationships. And I was like, I'm just going to go all in. Did invested hugely into a mentor, really soaked it in, learned everything. And everyone was going to me, you're mad because do you want to give up your time, more time, like and have less time with Santiago? I'm like, I'm not going to. This will not affect my time with Sans. I will just run two businesses in 3 days. Everyone's like, Well, if anyone could do it, Tash can do it. That was a nudge. It made no sense. And now I'm absolutely loving it. So I think it's so important. And this comes back to doing the magic. Another thing I did was I fell out of love with that exact membership. So I'd done all of that. I think it was maybe 2 years later. I really wanted to solely build a membership that was strategy, because obviously strategy is 5%, but really focus on the subconscious, the 95%. And I just wanted to focus it for entrepreneurs. Now that again made no logical sense. Why would you shut something down that wasn't like that was working? And I was like, I've got to do the things that light me up, and that just wasn't lighting me up anymore. And I remember doing that live and telling them, and I was sobbing, and they were sobbing. They were like, I feel like you've, oh, it's gonna make me cry. I feel like you've been through this journey with me. So it was really hard to do it, but I know it felt like the right thing to do. And now I've got the Badass CEO Club, which I'm just in love with. And everything does work out once you do follow those nudges. But I'm not saying it's easy, and people are going to think you are Delulu. But hey, we're here for the Delulu. We've just created these incredible, successful businesses on Delulu.
Oh my gosh. So now I'm like really curious and I like okay, I'm really curious about this next topic. So I burned my business to the ground in year 4 of my business. And at the time, basically things started feeling really it's like I lost the magic. I lost the connection. And I now I know why, but at the time I didn't know why. So I was like, I lost the connection, I lost the feeling. Now I'm not somebody who just like willy-nilly like just like gives up on stuff or lets go of stuff. Like I am so loyal. I'm Taurus, like if any like I am so like stubbornly in a beautiful way, like driven, tenacious. I will stick with something forever. Like, that's just how I am. But and I love that part of me. And at the same time, like year 4, I'm like, it just doesn't sit right. It doesn't feel right. And I literally burned my entire, it was like 6 figures in revenue to the ground. And I had a really engaged community. I had a thriving community. I had thriving clients. I had amazing testimonials, incredible reviews, people saying that this is the best investment they've ever made in their entire life. Like there was no, but for me, I felt like it really doesn't sit well, and now I know why, but it doesn't sit well, blah 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 blah. And I closed the business down. I turned the business, like, whatever. Looking back now, that was, I don't know how many years ago, that was like 2018, 2019 sort of time. I look back and I was like, if I'd had the mentors I have today, I would have actually stayed in business.
Oh,
Yeah, I would have stayed in business because what was going on was resistance, was like a hiccup, was again at the time I didn't realize this, but like it was a lot of my own mixed up belief systems. Like I kind of like it's too long of a story to tell now, but it was basically like I'd linked up beliefs that were not true, but like I'd kind of linked them up in my mind, and then it didn't feel right because I'm big on transparency and integrity. Like those are big like cornerstones of how I want to lead my life.
mm,
And I felt like I wasn't, I felt like there was an integrity piece, like with the coaching industry, like there were certain things and it was like no longer lining up. And I was like, then I'm out. Because if it's not integrity, I'm out. Because it was always about, for me, it was always about service and contribution and like adding value and truly about like helping others. So if like I was like no longer feeling fully like integrity with the coaching industry and whatever, then I want myself out. But again, like I said, what's interesting is now with the mentors I have today, I would have stayed in. And it would have been in my view, there would have been potentially a juicier ride involved because it would have required me to sit with the feelings, um, not give up or run away just when things get a little bit sticky.
yeah.
Um, and it's funny because I would have said back then, like I would have been like, oh, but it's integrity, and that matters more than anything. Because like my big people, the people that I look up to are people like Nelson Mandela and like Gandhi and Martin Luther King, like people who I believe had like really like their ethics in the place and like their morals in the right place. And like those are the people that I personally like look up to and think about like how would they make this sort of decision. And so I was like, well, that's everything. That's my cornerstone. Like I'm just gonna go. But so I guess I'm curious to you, like, how do you know when it's a soul nudge versus it's old patterns? And it's like the old patterns feel good. Like leaving felt good because it meant like kind of moving away from feelings that were very uncomfortable. Now,
Mhm.
again, now I have so much hindsight, I can see that at the time that's not what it felt like. It felt like I'm listening to my values, I'm following like all the things. But actually, what was really going on is I was like following old patterning. So I guess my question to you is like, how do you know from your perspective, whether it's like you following old patterning, which feels good, which feels aligning, which feels like, oh, this is in my values, or this feels like juicy, versus like it's like an actual soul nudge.
Yeah, because the subconscious can be very sneaky.
I know.
And this is
I
obviously what
know.
happened. You're like, yeah, it's making me believe that it's my values and my principles, and I'm going to stick by that. I think the main thing here is, can you sit with the uncomfortableness? I think it's very easy to have something, have a thought, and be like, oh, yeah. And then you're like, oh, no, not going to do that. No, okay, yeah, I'm definitely not going to do that. And then you go and not do that. But can you sit with the uncomfortableness? Okay, yeah, you might not be making the money you're making. You might not be hitting the goals that you want to do. Maybe you don't feel like your Instagram's working as well it does. Whatever it might have been, right? Can you sit with that and go, is this really something I want to do? Because I always think about this, pick your hard because there's always going to be challenges and hardness that comes up in life, never mind business. We can't just run away with it, or we can't just be like, oh, no, done with that. You've got to be able to sit with those emotions. And I think once you're able to sit with these emotions and truly listen, which sounds so simple, but can be really, really challenging, when you just quiet your mind, it's like your higher self always knows the right answer, always. But what happens, we let our mind, our ego take over, convince the subconscious that this is right, this is what we need to be doing. And then we go along with it. And then what happens is we're like, does that feel aligned to me? Like, am I making the decision that actually feels good? Because I'll be honest, it would have been easier for me to stop the business in 2022 and be like, yeah, I'm done. Had a good ride. It was amazing. Let's try something else. And I could have gone down the whole, I wanted more. I wanted to try something else. But that was bullshit. That wasn't the truth. So I had to sit with it because every part of me was going, you are made to do this. This is just growing pains. And I'm like, growing pains have been going years. Like, why is it feeling so hard? Why is the universe giving me all of these things that happen like in my personal life? And it doesn't have to affect your business. It doesn't. I know tons of people. I help so many of my clients, like the law of polarity. You can be having so much going on as a shit show behind the stage, but like in your business doesn't have to take effect. Money doesn't go, oh, she's having a bad day. We're not going to come today. It's time of the month. Or she's going through heartache at the moment, or she's dating, or so we're not, that's not how it works. So I think really being able to sit with yourself, which was really challenging for me, and face those thoughts that come up, face the thoughts of, am I doing this out of integrity? Is this really about my values, or is this because I'm scared? I'm scared I'm going to look like a failure. I'm scared I'm going to look like people are going to judge me, that it didn't go well. I used to do this in business and now I don't. What do you truly want? And when I really sat with it, I was like, yeah, I'm scared of being judged. Yes, I'm scared of people going to think, oh, wow, she hit such great heights in her business and now look like, what? And I think then when I really kind of looked at it and faced it and done that subconscious work, which it is work. I'm never going to say to my clients or my audience that it's really easy. Like the strategy is the easy part. The strategy, like I'll teach you marketing, I'll teach you the selling. Like that is the easy part. It's leaning into yourself, your intuition, and aligning that because what I truly believe is your higher self is on a different frequency. Okay. She's not any better than you. She's not done better things than you. She's just already achieved the things that you are desiring right now. But all that means is you're at a different frequency. And to bridge that gap isn't strategy, isn't I need to show up more. I need to change my business. I need to pivot to my strategy. No, no, no. It's an energetic mismatch. So we need to get to that same level. And by doing that is tapping into how you feel, how you think. If you've got limiting beliefs come out, great, shift them. Stop looking for another business coach that's going to be able to like solve you or heal you. You don't need solving, you don't need healing, you don't need fixing. We need to rewire your beliefs and your old programming that is just relaying all the time. Because I had all the evidence of how I've been successful. Where my brain went to is, well, you failed at being a girl band. You failed at having your dancing career. You failed at being a model. Your modeling agency didn't make money. Like you're just a failure. That's where it went to because it's what it's designed to do. So everyone that's listening to this and going, actually, I do have those thoughts. And my Raz is, yeah, looking for all the evidence. That's where we need to switch it up and go, where do I find the evidence of where I actually am succeeding? Oh, I'm succeeding in this. I'm at this. I'm at this. Even if it's the most smallest micro thing, we want to reprogram our mind to believe that when we say we're going to do something, we do it. For example, if you say to me, Tash, after I do this live, I am then going to go downstairs and make a cup of tea. Go downstairs and make the cup of tea. Show your subconscious mind when you say you're going to do something, you do it. Because then when you say to me, Tash, I'm going to set up my program and make X amount of money, you'll do it. Because your subconscious doesn't know the difference between making a cup of tea and you selling out your launch. But it's got to come from doing this deep in subconscious work to really reprogram your thoughts and your beliefs because your blueprint was formed from the ages of 0 to 7. That's what's running the show. The 7-year-old you, the little inner Natasha, is running around with all these same beliefs of Father Christmas is real and money's so tight and you're not really good at this. And that's how you're showing up in your business. Whereas I think if you get real with yourself, sit with it and go, what actually lights me up? Not social media, not what's going to look good on your Instagram reel, not what's going to make your partner happy or your family happy or how much money you make. What do you truly want to do? How do you want to show up? And how do you want to build a business? How do you want that to feel? And then you'll have the right answers.
Oh my God, it's just so good. Like I could sit here and for ages. I mean, that's why I've asked you to come on, but it's like I really, it's funny because what I will say is people do, it's like you don't need to go out there and get fixed. I couldn't agree more with you. Like we're not broken. At the same time, I really do believe that we all need to be doing, like you were saying, like the mindset work, right? And I was thinking about what when you were talking, I was like, if I if I had had the vulnerability to share with my then mentor and coach what was going on,
Mm.
I would potentially not have like done what I did. So I also think there's like a vulnerability piece, like of hiring the help, hiring the coach, the business mentor, whoever it is, but then having the willingness to actually share what's really going on and like what you really feel about yourself or what you really feel about your results, because that's when they can really help. And I think a lot of the times, looking back now, year 2, 3, and 4 of my business, yeah, I was making 6 figures every year, but like the truth is like I was always trying to be perceived as more successful than I was. And I was always trying to be perceived as more like smarter and more competent and more capable. But even with my mentors, I'd say especially with my mentors, it was like and my coaches and stuff, it's like I want to be seen in a certain way, so I'm going to delete information, favor other information, like and was I trying to do it to be malicious? No, of course not. I was doing it because there was a wound of like, I don't feel good enough. So I want to
Mm.
make sure that like they think I'm good enough so that then they'll believe that I can succeed. And then maybe I will believe I can
Yes.
succeed, right? So it's like, it's not like a malicious thing. And so I have one, like, I want to ask you like 20 other questions, but I want to ask you this question because I'm so curious to hear your take on this. Um, there are people who I have followed who I've loved and I've been like, oh my God, breakthrough. Like I've had my own breakthroughs through listening to them. I've been in a mastermind with them. I've done all this stuff, right? What's interesting is what I've felt like sometimes, a couple of them, they have this like notion that once you've had that initial breakthrough, like through, let's say it's like the subconscious work, or it's like breaking free from a particular like construct or paradigm, or your like inner like smaller child or whatever, that then it's kind of like you're free, you're done, like ta-da! And then like you can move on. And I was really sitting with that because the people that I think they're very very good at what they do, and it has like some of the breakthroughs I've had from them like as a result of their work has been amazing. At the
Mm.
same time, I was really sitting with it and I was thinking, every 3 months I have a breakthrough. Every 3 months I have a new evolution of me. There's a new realization, a new aha moment, a new construct. Something lifts. It's like I feel like I see like almost like an infinite elevator, and like the elevator just keeps going up.
Mm.
So I guess I'm like, what's your take on that? Because obviously you do some really powerful subconscious work with your clients, and then of course, yes, you see them get these amazing results. But like, what is your take on this idea of like you do like a few powerful sessions? And then, yes, you do get like a big breakthrough, and maybe you do even see results. But then, where from there is like, is that it? Like, what's your take on that?
Oh my God, no. This
Right,
is a lifetime marriage
right,
between you, yourself, and I, okay?
right.
Because I always see this as there's always a new opportunity. You know that new level, new devil. I like to
Yeah.
see it as like a new level in business. There's a new opportunity. So what got you to 10K months is one particular mindset, but there is going to be other beliefs. So I'll give you an example. I've got clients that come to me that like Tash just want to hit 10K months. Their beliefs is, can they really do this? They need X amount of clients to be able to get there. Oh my goodness, what type of identity do I need? So it's all those. Then I have clients coming to me and going, right, I'm at 30K, I want to double it. And they're making 30K consistent cash months, right? They don't feel safe with the money. They're freaking out every single month because now they've got bigger responsibilities. Maybe they're the breadwinner. They're paying the mortgages. They've got team members that they've got to pay. So how your launch does is a massive knock-on effect to how you can pay your team, right? So And you see, it isn't. And I remember thinking this, I'll just get to 10K months and I'll be good to go. I just need to do
Yeah.
the mindset for that and it's fine. This is like, it's ever going. It honestly is ever going. Even in my business, as a subconscious coach, I know the power of it. I do my own work every single day. But even if I don't get triggered, even if there's not like a limiting belief, I'm committed to myself, to the understanding of, in order for you to expand in your business, the strategy is not going to get you there. And like, I
I
know
love
that's
that
really
too.
polarizing, but I do not mind backing that. It doesn't. That is just absolute bullshit. What's going to get you there is expanding your belief system to believing that you can not just attract, but hold with ease. Because, like we've been speaking about, I feel like it's the whole kind of theme of this in regards to like the magic. It isn't about how much money you make or the success you have in business. They're great things. It's how it makes you feel. How do you feel in your business? And every day there's going to be things that come up. For example, looking at your banking account. If that triggers you, girl, you need to work on your subconscious because it shouldn't do it. It's just the number. If I
Oh,
say to you
just
30,
that in itself. Yes, 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 yes. That triggered me forever. You're keep going.
yeah. And like if you think about it, if you say 30K, let's say, and we like should say £1,000, people were like, oh my goodness, I don't think I could ever make it. And then I go, right, take the £1,000 off it and make it 30,000 kg. Instantly, you're not triggered by that. You're like, 30,000 kg, how many bowls of sugar is that, right? It's the story, the belief. It's money can hold such a heaviness because of your belief system around that. You don't think you're worthy enough. I mean, let's just take this for a moment. How ridiculous this sounds, and we're all guilty of doing it or have done it, that you think you're not worthy of making an X amount of money. How are you even intertwining that? And I was there for years, right? So this is why this work's so important because it's building and working on your relationship with money like you would with your marriage or your kids. Like it's so important to you, your friends, your bestie nights. Like that's so important, but yet you don't have it with money. We just expect it to just be like it's there when it's like, well, if you don't do the work on your expanding your wealth consciousness about it, why are you going to be a money magnet? Going back to that, the dating,
Mhm.
story. It's the same with money. So that's why it's ever going. And think about the common denominator of all of these successful people isn't the strategy because we all teach very different things. It's
That
the
is
mindset,
so
their
good.
beliefs.
That is so true because everyone does such different strategies. Like I've worked with so many eight-figure business owners and they all have different strategies.
Yeah. Because the biggest strategy is yourself. You are the strategy. And that's why this particular person can execute anything. Literally can just drop, like secret offers on their Instagram and it sells out. That isn't because it's the strategy, because you could go and do that and it might not work. It's
Yeah.
because of her belief in herself. She's like, I'm the bomb. Like, that is it. I know money always comes to me. But she had to cultivate that from the start. It wasn't, I'll make 8 figures and then I'll feel that way. The
Mhm.
reason why she's been able to make 8 figures is because of her belief systems.
Yeah, it's like I feel that way and then it comes through. Oh my God, Natasha, like um we'll end it there, but like I I honestly I'm not even kidding. Like I could speak to you for like 5 hours and we'd still be here and I'd be like, what about this and what about this? Which is like the beauty of like what you talk about. But also I think what it is, the reason there are particular people I choose to be on this podcast and particular people I interview is because I guess it often tends to be people who have spent so much time in this field. It's
Mm,
not like just like a side note. It's not just like they've kind of dabbled in it. They're obsessed with it. And they have like gone in. And that, it's so funny because it's so nuanced then. Like, because
mm,
that's why, when you thinking about people who might hire you from listening to this podcast episode. And I think to myself, it's kind of like when a plumber comes in and he takes like 5 minutes to fix your boiler or your tap or whatever. And you're like, it took 5 minutes. Why am I paying you 80 quid for that or 100, £100 or whatever for that? And they're like, it took me 10 years to get to a stage where I know where the problem is. I can fix it like this. It takes me 5 minutes. And I think that's what it is like when I speak to you and I speak to these other women, it's like, it's so nuanced. It's like
mm,
that's why they can get through to a person so powerfully and so concisely and hit them right where it lands and just be like, oh, and the person's like, oh my God, I just got it. And that just landed for me. And it's like, well, why? And why did it take so little time for that person? And why did they have to charge 3 grand for it? Well, they charged 3 grand for it for like a 30-minute session because that would have taken you 5 years to figure out if you had to do it all on your own or take every book and try and condense it all. And so I
mm,
just think like I love talking to you because it's the nuances. It's like the understand and then that's why it's like you take all these examples and metaphors and you weave them in and you weave in these analogies and people are like I get it now, and it seems so simple, but it's like the reason it feels so simple and the reason it lands so well when you speak about it and you make it so simple is because you've spent so much time and energy like involved in this, immersed in it. And so now, yeah, it does feel like this is just like boom, 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 boom. And it's not that big a deal. And like, yes, there's so much more and you can continue to master your craft, but ultimately, like, that's where you're at. So, tell people, tell myself, and we'll add it in the show notes, where people can, like, where do you want people to go? Like, if somebody's just listened to this podcast and they're like, oh my God, like, there's just so much that they're feeling and noticing and like, oh, they're like in that, like, where do you want that human to go?
Definitely Instagram. That is my jam. It's where I hang out. My handle is at Natasha Clarke Coaching. Come and follow me. Please do come into the DMs and tell me that, yeah, because obviously
Yes.
I love Olivia and I love her audience, and we just connect on a whole different energetic field, don't we?
Yeah.
So I understand that like my audience is your audience, like we just get it. So yeah, thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I've absolutely loved it.
Oh, you're so welcome. And thank you for being here. And you're absolutely amazing. And we will see you all for the next episode. Have an amazing rest of your day. And I'll speak to you guys all soon.